Welcome to Sound Off. I'm Matt Pinfield. Today's guest is a young Canadian singer who's one of the biggest stars in pop music today. Her debut album, Let Go, sold over 15 million copies. She's back with her third album, The Best Damn Thing. Sound Off welcomes Avril Lavigne. Avril, welcome to Sound Off.
Thank you.
Really a pleasure to have you here. Avril, we're going to start talking about everything from the beginning with of your career and with you and starting out. Now, you're from Ontario. It's
Yes.
Belleville, is that where it is originally?
Half an hour from Belleville, it's Napanee.
Yeah.
Napanee is basically 2.5 hours east of Toronto. It's between Toronto and Ottawa.
Yeah.
Really small town, 5,000 people.
It's amazing
Yeah.
how you always hear about these small towns in Canada. It's such great talent comes out of these towns, like full bands, and then yourself and those people that come from it. There's a lot of music. There's a lot of great musical people up there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy too, being from a small town and kind of making it big all on my own without, having like my parents having hookups. It's like I did it on my own. So
I
it
think
feels
that's
good.
cool. I think it's cool. Yeah, no nepotism there. You did that stuff on your own
Yeah.
completely. Now, your dad was born in France, actually.
Yeah, actually, but I don't think he's ever been back.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'll have to take him there one day. Yeah, he's French. My mom's not,
Yeah.
but he can actually speak French. That's the one language I want to learn one day.
Yeah, and Avril stands for April, right?
Yeah,
And
my name is French.
it's French, like
name.
April Divine, or is what Lavigne
Yeah,
stands
something
for.
like that.
Which is really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Now tell me about you started singing as a very young girl, and I know that you loved country music too, because there's a lot of country music out there as well. And tell me, did you get discovered actually by your first manager? You were singing in like a bookstore. It was kind of called Chapters, doing some country covers, or what was that?
Well, I made, quite a name for myself in town when I was singing. I was singing at church, and I was singing at the fairs, and basically anywhere I sang at the mall. And when I was 14, I sang with Shania Twain on stage. I won a contest.
That's a great story. Now tell us about
Yeah,
that.
it's a really good story. It's so cool. Basically, my dad heard on the radio that they were doing a contest to win, to sing with Shania. So he had to I submitted a tape of me singing one of her songs, and I was 14, and they picked me. So I went to Ottawa to the Corral Center, which
is a big concert hall.
massive. Like I think when it's sold out, it's about 20,000 people. And I went on stage and I sang that song with her. And after that, I got a lot more attention. I mean, then I was already doing a lot of stuff, so I basically just kept doing more. But the really cool part about that is like 2 years later, so or 3 years, just a few years later, I'm on stage
Selling
at the
out the
Corral
same
Center,
place.
selling at the same place, and I was like, oh my gosh!
At 17, which is incredible. It's such a great story.
Yeah,
right?
so it's every time I play the Corral Center, which I always do when I'm on my Canadian tour. It's really cool for me.
Do you ever think about doing a Shania song just since you're there that day and bringing it back, or no?
Probably not.
You got your own tunes now. So there was another guy. Was this guy's name Steve Med or something? There's a guy whose records you sang on, did some backing vocals. Was that what was?
Here's a guy in Napanee who was like, I think putting on some events, music by the river, they called it.
Like a folk thing?
And he did like a record and wrote me a song to sing on his record, so I sang on that.
Yeah. That's you were doing that stuff too, all before.
I was doing a ton of just singing around town, and once I got into high school, I kind of stopped because it was like I didn't really wasn't into country music. I was like singing those songs because those were the songs I had to sing. I was so young, my parents were picking the songs that I was singing, so I got to a point where I kind of stopped singing, and I was like 14. I started writing my own stuff, and basically went to New York when I was 15, and L.A. Reid saw me, and then I got my record deal, and I spent about a year, all of when I was 16, writing with different people for my record, and
the Matrix
developing
were part of it too, which was great. And Complicated came out of that, which was just an incredible song, and it was just an absolute juggernaut. I mean, it just it took over the world. Tell me about the other people you worked with on the first album, Let Go.
I worked with Cliff Magnus, and it was really cool because I finally got to do like my more rock songs with him. He wasn't afraid to go there because the other people I was working with, they just think, you know, pop hits and radio and all that stuff. So with him, I really got to like go heavy, and we did Unwanted and Losing Grip, and it was really cool. And then I worked with The Matrix, and we probably did about half of the record together. And then I worked with Peter Zizzo, and he was the reason why I went to New York. And when I went to New York, L.A. Reid heard about me.
Right.
So basically, we have one song on the record, but we worked together a lot during when I first moved out to New York. And Kurt Frasca and Sibel, I wrote with them as well.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, the album sold over 13 million copies.
Yeah, it's I think up to about 15 now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because it keeps selling. You know,
Yeah.
it's, a couple 100,000 here and there every year, which is a cool thing. It really is. Now, when it came time to make the second album, you ended up working with a good friend of mine, Butch Walker, who's a great writer and producer. And I know you two are really close and have worked together since that second album. Tell me about your relationship with Butch and what it's like to work with Butch in the studio.
He's one of my good friends now, and I first met him on my 18th birthday. We were in the studio, and I wasn't making my record. My Let Go was already out, and I had some downtime, and I had some new songs, so I had him produce Don't Tell Me and Freak Out and a couple other ones. And basically, when I went to make my second record, we worked on those songs, and we wrote My Happy Ending together.
Right.
And that was like my big hit off my last record. And then I asked him to come out and tour with me and open for me.
And he went to Japan with you? He went everywhere with you,
Yeah.
which I think was very cool.
And
Take him all over the place.
And then I finished my tour, and I just said, okay, I don't know who I'm going to work with on this record, but I want to start off working with you. And I sat down and I told him what I was going for, which was just I want to make a really fun record, really upbeat. And so we wrote The Best Damn Thing together.
Which is the title track of your new album.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have a song called The Best Damn Thing, so it was really fun. And we wrote When You're Gone together, which is probably going to be my second single.
Right.
And a couple others. And yeah, he's great.
Yeah, Butch is amazing. He's got a great knack, not only for production, but for songwriting. And
it's like cool working with him because he wasn't just, a producer or just someone who works. He's like actually... He's an artist,
Yeah.
So it was really cool to work with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's produced a lot of bands lately. I mean, he did The Academy is his new one, and did Midtown back then, a bunch of other bands. But he's great, and he's a good guy. He worked with Ben Moody, the guy who wrote a lot of the songs on the first Evanescence record, on Under My Skin, too. Tell me about working with Ben. Did you enjoy the writing process with Ben?
Was working with... what is his name? The producer, Don Gilmore. Yeah. I was working with Don Gilmore, and he brought up working with Ben to me. He goes, why don't you try writing with Ben Moody? And I was like, okay. So he hooked us up together, and it was cool. We were like two, young people, we got tattoos together. We had a good time, and yeah.
Yeah, he's Ben's another great guy. Really good guy. Waiting for his first solo record to come out. Hopefully it'll be done soon.
Yeah.
He's been writing a lot of songs for it. This stuff sounds very good.
Cool.
It's really, really cool stuff. So tell me about with the new album, with the whole damn thing. You also, Evan, who was in your band originally, wrote a couple of songs on the record too. Now, Evan, was it?
Yeah.
What ended up happening?
Well, Evan has been around. I've known Evan since my first record, and he was the original guitar player. You'll see him in a lot of my first videos. And he just basically went off and did his own thing. He has a record deal, and he's working on his own record, but we've remained friends. And we wrote about 4 songs for this record together. And it's really cool because we're both, we're the same age. And he's one of my good friends, and it's just so cool to be like, yes, he's a part of the record, and he's excited, and
he's been with. He was with you from day one. Where did you guys meet? Did you meet him originally when you came to New York? Or
yes, I met him when he came to kind of audition for the band.
I see.
And picked him, and
Now, when it came, besides working with Butcher Walker on the new record, you also worked with the Doctor. Still worked,
Yeah, Luke.
Yeah, tell me about Luke and hooking up with him, and what was that experience
I
like?
had no idea who Luke was, and I met him, and he came over to my house, and I just basically was like, "What have you done? What do you like? How much do you, And he explained he told me who he's produced and worked with, and so basically, I just grabbed a guitar at my house and was like, "Okay, let's start." Like I'm so spontaneous like that, and then we pretty much worked for about 4 or 5 months together, just us, probably 4 months in the studio, and I definitely can say I had the most fun on this record. Like in the studio, sometimes too much fun.
Yeah.
We were like drinking and partying and just like hanging out. Sometimes we wouldn't start writing until midnight, and it's fun. It's exciting when you get with someone new that you click with because, there's an excitement, and we had good chemistry.
That's really cool. That's great. Who else ended up coming in on this record with you?
I brought Rob Cavallo in to produce one of my ballads, Innocence. I wrote Innocence with Evan, and
Rob, of course, everybody knows he's worked with Green Day and My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, and I brought him in because I'm a huge fan of the Goo Goo Dolls. I love the song Iris.
It was your wedding song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had this ballad, and I was trying to think, what producer do I want to do this? I didn't want it to be a pop producer, like a main pop producer, because I wanted the track to have a lot of feel and be really creative. And I knew that he could do that. So we did that. We worked on that song together, and it's cool because, he's done a lot and he's really talented.
So, Avril, tell me about, besides the country stuff you love, who are some of your favorite artists? What kind of stuff do you listen to when you have time by yourself or when you're on the road?
I'm not really a country fan, but like the only people I like in country is like the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
And then as far as the stuff I listen to Blink, the Distillers. I like Peaches. I like the Pixies, Radiohead. I like a lot of, older, kind of more rock bands.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, you mentioned some cool people, some powerful women that are in bands there, like Kim Deal from the Pixies and Peaches, who's definitely really cool, and I think it's great.
Yeah, I really like Brody from the Distillers, and I love Alanis Morissette.
Yeah, have you met Alanis out in Canada?
Yes, Alanis and I sang together at the House of Blues in LA. She was doing a concert and asked me to come on stage and join her, and we sang my song Losing Grip together, and then we sang Ironic together.
Did you have a blast? Was it a great?
It
must
was
have been
like
a great experience.
Really awesome opportunity for me because I grew up listening to her and I love her. I think she's great.
People would love to know the stories behind some of the songs that you've written, and the songs that are hits for you. So let's go back and talk about a couple of songs on the first record. Let's talk about Complicated, the first hit single, which was such a big track for you in the writing of that song.
Well, I worked with The Matrix on that song, and the really cool thing about that song was I sang it once. I went into the booth and recorded it, and Lauren, who was recording me, was like, "Oh my God, you totally nailed it. Like, you don't even have to sing it again." She goes, "You don't understand. No one does this." And she's like, "Okay, just sing it one more time at least." So I sang it twice.
Just have a safety copy.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I remember writing that in their studio, at their home studio. And yeah, just, what do you want to know?
Yeah, it's amazing. What about Skater Boy? Tell me about that song.
Skater Boy was just kind of like inspiration from like my high school experience. I was really into skateboarding, and I was writing this with Lauren and talking to her about that and explaining that I wanted to do a really cool song that was like fast and kind of rocky. So we all worked on that together, and it's just very true, like how it is with like the preps and the skaters and all the different groups, and how people are concerned with what other people think about them, and And Skater Boy is kind of just about a preppy girl liking a skater, but she doesn't want her friends to know because he's like not in their group.
Yeah.
So, and in the end, she should have went with him because everyone else ended up liking him at the end. So it's kind of just a fun song.
Absolutely. Now, what about Losing Grip?
Losing Grip is just one of those things I went, lyrically, it's really kind of just deep and comes from like, you know, bad relationship experiences. I worked with Cliff Magnus on this song, and it was really good, like I said, because with him we really rocked out together. It was a dark song, and this was my favorite song off of my first record, one of them. So it was the fourth single, and when it was a single, I was really glad.
Yeah. Now, what about My Happy Ending, which was a big hit for you on Skin?
Yes. The cool thing about My Happy Ending, Butch and I were in the studio writing this song, and I sang it, and I came back in when I sang like 2 songs in one day, and he called me in the next day, and I listened to it, and I was like, that's the single, like that's it. And I called up my management, and I'm like, I have it. I always know like what songs are the best or good
Which
for
things
radio.
are going to be, which things are going to work out as far as singles go. Now, on the new album, The Best Damn Thing, the first single's Girlfriend. And there's been stuff online where some people think, wow, those lyrics are kind of underhanded about getting, there's a little bit of controversy kicked up about the lyrics.
Well, it's funny because, I wrote a lot of this music in the studio not really thinking about what the songs were about. And I was with Luke, and we had a few drinks, and with Girlfriend, I was just like, play something really fast and, like, energetic. And so he started playing the guitar, and I was like, I don't like your girlfriend. I think you need a new one. And we just looked at each other, and we're like, ooh.
That's a cool song.
This is funny. What does this mean? It's really bitchy. And then we just, like, took that and, like, ran with it and just made a really bratty song. And it's, like, to us, it was really humorous. We're like, oh, my God. And we're like, right. It was really fun. So.
Yeah, and so some fans took it literal and said, oh, that's...
yeah, of course people are like, well, do you think that you should steal people's boyfriends? And I'm like, no, it's not my message. It's not a literal song. It's not serious. It's a joke. It's funny. I think most people get that.
Yeah. Let's talk about, your videos are always really fun and energetic, and there's a great vibe to them. Let's talk about the video for Girlfriend.
Okay, well, since my second record, for all my videos, not my first one, but like the last probably, let's see, whatever. Most of my videos, I come up with the initial concepts and pick the directors. And with the Girlfriend, I knew that I wanted to dance in this video, and that I wanted to like play different characters and flirt with the boyfriend. So I worked with the Malloys again, who directed Complicated, and they also directed my song, the video for He Wasn't. And basically I play a redhead who's the girlfriend, and a brunette who's like the mean one trying to like steal the boyfriend. And there's a lot going on with that, and dancing for the first time. And
was that fun? Were you a bit nervous about it? You said no.
Oh, yeah. It was weird because it was my first time, and I had to prep like 2 days before the video doing like rehearsals for dancing. And it was actually really difficult. Like, not for me. Like, I'm a really fast learner, and I'm pretty coordinated, but I realized how much time people actually put into it if they are dancing on stage. Like, that wasn't even a whole song. It was just like the bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. And you worked with the Malloys for the third time, who are great guys. I took a surfing lesson from those guys once, which was great.
They're funny.
They're really cool.
They like brought the humor into the video. I ran my ideas by a bunch of directors, and they didn't really get it. Like because I wanted to be really young and funny, and so I was like, you know what? I should talk to the Malloys because they got that humor and Complicated with all the fun vignettes we had going on, and they came up with all the cool ideas with the go-kart and the golf, and I was like, okay, you guys got it. They understood.
Yeah, and it's amazing. A lot for our viewers. A lot of people might not know the Malloys are a world famous surfing group of brothers, and they're great directors too. They do their whole thing. How did you ever hang with those guys when they were doing their surf thing, or?
No.
No, you should tell them. You live in L.A. now. You should go down to Orange County and say, guys, we got to go surfing sometime. That'd be a fun thing to do. Malloys are great. They did a great job with directing that stuff. Which brothers were involved in it? This one was it?
Like both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great. So, all right, Avril, so what about you said we were talking about When You're Gone before. What about Innocence? Tell me a bit about this song.
Innocence is a really pretty song. It's really good because it's really emotional. It's about capturing a moment in time, like a beautiful moment, like, you know, when you're really happy and just a good time in your life and holding on to it and making it last forever.
Yeah, that's a good track. It really is. It's very cool. What are some of your other favorite things on the new record?
I love the song I Can Do Better.
That's the second song on the record.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
It's like, you know, this whole record has a new sound throughout it, and a bit of, you know, some new styles, and I've tried some new things, not even thinking about it. I just naturally, my sound progressed, and which is good. And you know, I think it's good to come out with some different styles, but not stray too far from your sound. So it sounds very much like me, but I've got different beats, and I'm doing some kind of talky, rappy kind of stuff, and screaming and laughing and just like all kinds of different stuff. So I Can Do Better is a really fun song. I was wasted when I wrote it and sang it, and it's an empowering song, and it's good.
Yeah, it really is, no question about it. Now, Avril, what is your favorite thing about touring these days? Do you enjoy the live shows?
Yes,
and you started?
I'm really excited with this record because I wrote it for the tour, for like a live show with that in mind, knowing that I enjoy playing more energetic, fast songs on stage. And I just put a new band together and a bigger band, and I just, you know, I'm bringing out these two girls dancers that are background singers as well. And at this point, I'm not touring until 2008, and I've already got like this sketchbook, and I'm designing like the way I want my outfits to be and the stage and set list, what covers I want to do, what songs I want to play the instruments for, because I play drums, piano, and guitar live. So I'm ready to like take my show to the next level and make it bigger and better. And so I have to think about that now.
Yeah.
And bring in set designers, because I have all these ideas, and I've never really done this before. I've always just kind of gone on stage and sang my songs, but I'm ready now
put all that
to make it more of a show, more like a show.
That'll be very cool. I love the fact that you say that you're going to be playing piano and drums on the tour, which is cool. When did you start learning how to do those things? Was it about the same time you were learning guitar, or did you just kind of pick them up?
My parents surprised me and my brother and sister one year by getting us for Christmas drums, bass, acoustic guitar, electric guitar.
That's totally cool.
So we had like a full band set up in my basement growing up, and you know, I would come home from school and we'd have our friends over, and I just learned boom boom jump like the most simple beat, and learned a bit of everything. And so basically, yeah, I can play anything. I'm not like great or anything, but I could pretty much play anything and any instrument. And I took piano lessons for 2 years when I was younger, but I don't remember anything. But the good thing about it is that I do know how to use my hands.
Yeah, because you got used to doing it. So
yeah.
Now that's great. That's really
but besides that, everything like I taught myself, and it was kind of good. I know that I'll definitely encourage my kids one day far in the future when I have them like to play instruments, because it's good when you kind of get a feel for it when you're younger, because now, because of that, like I can go sit on the drums and learn any song if I want, and like play bass, and it's so. And
it becomes more natural because you had that exposure to it when you were young, and you had that opportunity. So. What about your brother and sister? Did they ever follow up with it? Or
my brother can play guitar, but he doesn't. My sister can play keyboard, but I mean, like, they don't do it professionally or anything.
Yeah.
I was the one real musical one in the family. No one else was really that into it, but it was because it was singing. So I was singing all the time, and And my brother's actually playing bass in the Girlfriend video, which is cool.
Oh, that's cool. You got to get him to be in it. That's great.
Yeah.
Did he have fun doing it? Did he enjoy it?
Yeah, and he's also the same. Like, if he wanted, he could pick up and play the bass guitar or drums.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, what is your brother doing? What are your sisters doing?
My brother comes out and he tours with me and just helps out and does a bit of security, and
which is good. So you have family around, which makes it good.
it's really nice because I have a ton of people around me, but they all work for me. So it's nice when I can bring out, a family member, and he does work for me and does a lot for me, but he loves me and he has my best interest at heart, and it's important to have that around. To have good people around. And my little sister, she's in school. Yeah. She's not that little anymore, I guess. She's 19. And
she's going to college in Canada?
Yeah. And, yeah.
That's great. Well, you know what? It's cool, though. That's great that you get to bring your brother out. And I'm sure your brother and your parents and sister are very proud of you, and we all are. But I wanted to thank you for coming by, Avril. It was great to have you, and the best of luck with the new album.
Thank you.
The best damn thing. It's already off to a great start. And, we'll see you on tour this year. Cool. Later on, or actually next year it'll be.
Yeah.
The question. All right, Avril, thanks for coming by. It was really good to have you.
Thanks
for watching Sound Off. It's Avril Lavigne. I'm Matt Pinfield. Have yourself a great night.